Welcome to another stream, everyone. We'll get started at the top of the hour. So yeah, you are early today. We always start a little bit earlier just to hang out, chat a bit. People are still coming in. If you want, actually, you can do the prerequisites before we start the lesson today because there's about 15 minutes before the class. The prerequisites are on the board. You want to make sure you know these forms first for today. Make sure everyone can hear me okay. Let's see if I raise up the, I don't want to raise that, it's too high. You don't want to see them. Can't show you how the magic works. Just a little bit more. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. Welcome. 안녕하세요 to everyone. Sometimes I see topics marked as beginner that make me go, oh, I'm supposed to know this already. Yeah. So there's a funny thing about the topic we're going to be learning today. The topic today is marked as beginner, but, excuse me, I would say, like if you're a new beginner, low beginner, you don't need to know this topic. Yeah, anyway, apologies for my voice. I've caught a bit of something. I'm not really sure what it is, but anyway. Yeah, so this topic, while it's beginner level, I would say it's very easy to use. It makes perfect sense. You can use it right away. There's really not too much to it, as well as pretty much everything about the form is within the beginner level. Yeah, it meets the requirements. Easy to use and conjugate, usable. However, beginners aren't going to use this form. They're not. I didn't. Any beginner using this form is already able to make full sentences. Like if you're actually using it in a regular sentence, not just understanding it and using it in a quick example. So although it's like, it's kind of more on the line between beginner and intermediate level, I would say. So this lesson, while, yeah, it's beginner friendly, the topic 통하다, so 통해서, which we're going to be learning, is really fine for intermediate. So if you're a beginner and you don't know this topic yet, that's fine. If you're an intermediate and you don't know this topic yet, well, you might still be at that level where you're kind of going over into the intermediate level. But this would be a form you would learn as part of that entry into the intermediate level. I would say it's somewhere low intermediate, maybe high beginner. There is no real official answer. But yeah, so that's why you might not have used this one before. And why I haven't already made a lesson about it, because I checked. I thought, surely I would have made a lesson about this, but no. I mean, it's in my books. Of course, it's in Korean Made Simple, all of this. Well, actually, a couple things we're doing today aren't in there, but it's not in my video. It's not on my channel yet, just because it's one of the lesser common beginner level forms. Hey, Joe Turner. Welcome. Billy, do you have a lesson on Nunde? Yes, I do. I have multiple lessons on that. I would recommend checking out the Google document. Let me post that here. Yeah, I've got a bit of a, let me post that here. You can check out the Google document. I posted it in chat and search for 대, just the end part, 대, and you'll find several lessons on it. Watch the most recent one that goes into the most detail, I think. I think that's the best one. It's about a 17-minute long abridged video, if I remember correctly. Hey, Zandria, thank you. Looking forward to your Jean episode. Yeah. So this week, you'll get another BTS series. You'll get the next episode, of course, which is going to be Jin. It's RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin. Why am I having a blank? Oh yeah, V, of course, and then Jungkook. I believe that's all 7, right? Don't tell me I missed one. Yeah, so this week on Wednesday, it'll be the Jin episode, and you'll keep getting a new one every 2 weeks until they're all uploaded. Yeah, that'll be a pretty fun episode. I can confidently say that the episodes get better as they go along. Yeah, but before that, though, we'll have this abridged version of the live stream that we're doing today. And then after that, I'll have another fun video coming up. I have another, so you'll actually get 2 fun videos. You'll get a Jin episode on Wednesday, and then next Monday, so not tomorrow, but 8 days from now, You'll also get a really fun episode I'm excited to share. I just filmed it 2 days ago, so it's brand new, and I just couldn't wait. I have to upload it. It was so much fun. So you'll get that. So you won't have to wait too long for another episode. You get one Wednesday and then the next Monday right after. Yeah, so announcements, of course. We should do some announcements. That's why I start this live early, to do announcements. Make sure to check out my Discord. It's free. It's open. You can practice Korean with other people, ask questions. Put a link in the chat for that. And yeah, go ahead, check it out. Also, if you want to be held accountable for your goals, if you set goals and you want someone to kind of to share those with, and other people can give feedback, you can check out the accountability channel in the Discord as well. I need to update that as well. I've been doing it for December and January and February, and so I should update that for how it went at the end of February, since it's coming up. But yeah, make sure to check that out as well. It is free. Check out the live schedule. Of course, that's the Google document that I shared here in chat. That is the schedule for all of the lives, previous ones and upcoming ones. Yeah, that's right. So next Sunday, there is no live stream. That's because these days I'm doing 2 live streams in a row on Sundays, and then I take 1 day off. So that's to allow for, I don't know, whatever, more videos and stuff. Last time I took that Sunday off, it was for filming the BTS episodes. This time it's going to be for preparing some new videos I'm going to be filming. So there will be no live stream next Sunday. Just keep that in mind. But the Sunday after that and the Sunday after that what am I trying to say? The Sunday after that and after that also, though, we'll have a live stream. So you can find the schedule if you're ever curious in that Google document that I shared. Hey, Lexica, welcome. Where are we today? That's a good question. I actually didn't really pay any attention to which location we traveled to today. I just picked one out. I had a folder of some unused locations. Let's say unused GPS coordinates, and I have flown here today. I'm not quite sure where I am though. Let me take a look, see if we can figure out where we are. It's a place. We're in Korea. I'm certain of that. I'm pretty certain we're in Korea right now. Yeah, I'm 100% sure we are in Korea, but beyond that, I cannot tell you because I didn't look at the file, the GPS coordinates clearly enough. Yeah. Someone says, is it Europe? No, it is definitely Korea. Lauren Holton says, hello, Billy and everyone. I had a crazy week. Train strikes and delays, canal boats instead of the tube, and I even bumped into King Charles by accident. All right. That's interesting. Let's see here. Dutcha Streamer says, I just joined the Discord. Welcome. Jalen McGill. 안녕하세요, 빌리 선생님. 플로버 사랑. 매운 라면. I'm not quite sure what it is you're trying to say. Something about drinking milk and spicy ramen, but I'm not sure what construction you want to have them in. Like with those two parts, I think they might be misconnected. But the last part of your sentence is fine. 완전 도움이 돼요. Hello, it's my first time joining your live. I'm super excited. Welcome. Yeah, a lot of people join my live for their first time. Every time I've been doing these since 2018 now. For over 4 years now? Yeah, 4.5 years, I think. Wait, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, 4.5 years I've been doing these live streams on nearly a weekly basis. I take weeks off, and then when I go to Korea, I only do a stream maybe once a month. But yeah, still, most people, though, watch them after they've been uploaded. I might get 100 viewers live or 200 viewers live, and then a few days later, it'll have 4,000 or 5,000 views. It's pretty normal. A lot of people don't watch it live because of the time difference. I understand, but it's always fun to see when new people are coming in here for their first time. Oh, that tea is really hot. Ah, that like burned my throat. Let's try some more. Oh, that's hot. And for anyone wondering, we'll get started in like 6 minutes. You can check out the prerequisites while you're waiting. If you want to make sure you're ready for the lesson today, you want to know how to use the 으로 particle to mean using. Now, you don't need this particle for the lesson we're doing. You need this particle so that you don't ask the question, Billy, what's the difference between 통해서 and 으로? So that way I can tell you, watch this lesson first, because they're not even related to each other. So this is more of just a reference. In fact, even if you don't even know this form, just know that this form can be used to mean using. Like you might say, 펜으로 편지를 쓰다, to write a letter using with a pen, or 자전거로, like riding a bicycle, by bike. 차로, by car, like that sort of by or using. And then you want to make sure, of course, to know how to use the 요 form. Now, this is more of an obvious thing. You should know this for this form. But in case you're wondering, like, how beginner level is this lesson for? Well, if you don't know how to conjugate verbs, then this would be a little bit advanced. Okay. Avi asks, have you ever gotten stumped while speaking Korean, like the native speaker was using an unfamiliar dialect? Sure, the same way I won't understand what people are saying in English. That's a given. I knew you from your video about, yeah, Chan and Felix. Yeah, I remember those videos. Those were fun. I'm always curious if they ended up watching those videos. I hope that they did. I put a lot of effort into those videos. Duchess asks, what kind of tea is it? It's actually, I don't know. It's a vanilla type of tea, but it's like caffeine-free vanilla. It's something like that. It's some nice tea. I bought it like 4 years ago, but it's still good. It still tastes nice. I don't know. I mean, it's like water. It's just really for my throat. Tootie asks, hi, Billy, I have another question. Do you think it's possible to improve your speaking by talking to yourself? Or do you have to speak with other people? Ultimately, you're going to need to speak with other people to improve your speaking. Talking to yourself is helpful to an extent. But it's kind of like this. If you want to learn how to cook, is it going to help you to watch cooking tutorials and read recipes and read books? Of course. Can you learn how to cook only by reading books and watching videos? No. Eventually, you have to actually practice cooking. And it's good to go for a balance. So yeah, you can practice speaking by practicing speaking to yourself. That will be a big help. But it has a limit. You're not going to learn anything new that way. You're only practicing the things that you're studying on your own. So you won't get exposed to different ways of pronouncing things. You won't get exposed to different ways you could have expressed what you said. So yeah, there's an extent to that. Carrie asks, do you have a video on neo and teo? Yes, I do have a separate video on that, so search that as well. Whenever you have a question about a grammar form and it already has a yo in it, I recommend searching for it by putting that yo in parentheses, because it would be an optional thing to add. But yeah, I have videos about all of those. Chan watches so many videos from fans, so he probably has seen it. I hope he's seen it. I hope he's watched it and been like, who is this Billy guy? How dare he grade my Korean? Welcome. 안녕. Her just came in. Now, I will accept 안녕. Just, you wouldn't want to say that to anyone who you're not already close friends with, though, normally. I'm a teacher, so, you know, I'm totally fine with that. But I would recommend something like 안녕하세요 for anyone you're seeing for the first time. Even if it's like someone who's younger than you, even if it's like someone who you kind of feel a little bit close with, unless you've agreed to speak more casually or you have like a close relationship, you don't want to switch to using that sort of casual speech known as 반말. It could be seen as rude if a native Korean speaker heard you. Or, you know, if I wasn't in teacher mode, but as a teacher, like, it's totally fine. There are a lot of things about that as well. Like, oh, hey, Carrie. Carrie. 안녕하세요, 선생님. Welcome. Coming in here to lurk from Bangtan Academy. Hi, welcome. Welcome, Bonnie. And we'll get started in just a minute. It's almost lesson time. Also, just a overview again of the announcements. If you are a Patreon member or a YouTube member, you get access to some special benefits. For example, Patreon members get to get all of the outlines for every single live stream I've ever done. You can go download those there. This one will be up as soon as the lesson's over. And yes, if you're wondering from last week, I did get a new printer. I could finally print these again. Last week I was like looking at my computer every second to try to read because I couldn't print anything. You'll also get, if you're a YouTube member, you'll also get to watch the abridged versions of these live streams the same day that they go up. Lexica, hey! Yeah, there are a bunch of BA folks in here, as well as on my channel. Mary Laura asks a good question. Their first one's incorrect, but it's a commonly used mistake. Because one of them is an intransitive verb and one of them is a transitive verb. Let me just... So, yeah. Let me just verify that. Yep. There are a few examples of that in Korean that you'll see. Sometimes when they have two commonly used expressions like that, both of them can be acceptable. But in that case, the first one is considered to be incorrect. Yeah, it's pretty simple. And you can verify that by searching the verbs 밤새다 and 밤새우다 in Naver and seeing which one has an entry. You might see both have an entry and the first one will say a incorrect version of the correct one. But that's how you can verify anything. Or you can just search it into Google with 국립국어원 attached to the end, and they always have answers for everything. Glass artist. Glass artist. Sorry, I can't yell louder. I caught something a few days ago and it hasn't gone away yet. Wow. I gotta write your name up on the board here. And then I'm gonna read your message and then we're gonna start the lesson. Wow, thank you so much. 안녕하세요. 1 year today, Korean Made Simple arrived at my door. I've supplemented with other sources. Awesome. However, you've been the primary source. To celebrate, I gifted myself an English Korean keyboard, a physical keyboard. Like I can't pick, if I pulled it, it's gonna rip. Like a plastic actual real keyboard. Oh, hey, Tani. 안녕. That's awesome. I used to have one. I bought one when I was in Korea. And I believe the price was $10, but I haggled down to $5. And it was the worst keyboard I ever owned. It broke in less than a week. So I only have a memory. The only memory I have is walking into the store when I bought it. I have no memory of touching it or using it. It instantly broke. So don't trust a $5 keyboard. And this was years ago. Now, I mean, you could still buy like a $5 keyboard. It's probably the same quality. Physical for the computer. That is awesome. There's just something about like the actual Korean letters on your keyboard that's much nicer than having to put stickers and then, removing the stickers or like getting them lined up perfectly. Yeah, congratulations on getting yourself a keyboard. That should help a lot with typing. And yeah, thank you again for the donation. That's so nice. Duchess says, do you have a digital textbook? Yeah, they're all available in EPUB as well. I would say Mobi, but now Mobi is a retired format kind of, except for the older Kindles. So yeah. I'm the other way though. I prefer physical textbooks. I still buy books. This is my newest book most recently. I still buy new books. This one I got just actually last month. It's a Hanja book. So I only had one other major reference book for Hanja, but I wanted one more. So this has like stories of Hanja and stuff. And then the other one I got, the other most recent one I got is this this book. This is the 한국어 동사사전. So it's the Korean verb dictionary. And it's cooler than it sounds. Okay, no, it's not really. It's not cool. But it has lots of information in here. You can see it's mostly in Korean, but it'll have some English as well. So 읽다 for to read. It'll have different 활용, the different ways that it's conjugated, the different ways that it's commonly used, the definition. It'll have some examples. It's just kind of like an additional reference for when you're searching a verb and you don't want, and like Naver will give you a lot of stuff that's good, but sometimes you just want more especially if you're trying to specifically look up one thing. You want as much reference about it as possible. So sometimes I've referred to this as well. Yeah, I have a bunch of books in my library that is slowly growing. They're all high quality stuff. I don't keep like low quality, like really basic phrase books or stuff like that, or whatever. I always have like really good quality textbooks that, Korean teachers will recommend to me, and then I'll buy them like that. Yeah, I have the stickers except on my phone. Yeah, you can't really put Korean typing stickers on your phone. That would be horrible. Like they're just all on your phone until you open your keyboard. No, you would just put a Korean keyboard on your phone, which is what I use. Wow. Okay. Lexica says, I like physical for studying from, but having the ebook as well makes searching easier. Yes. I prefer physical textbooks, but I do like a digital one for a reference. So yeah, for searching and stuff like that, it's really good. Or like, I just want an extra copy so I can search something up when I'm, away from the house. Then I might want a digital version. And some books I do have digital only because I don't want to buy the book. Like I don't want to carry the book around with me. So, like those free textbooks you can download. Some of those I do have. They might sell a print version as well, but they also offer the free version on their own website. Those types of books, I do have some in digital only, but other than that, everything's physical. Okay. Yeah, that's a very thick book. I think that's the thickest one that I have. Oh no, I do have one that's a little bit thicker, but it's just a dictionary. It's an old dictionary from like the year 2000. That one I've never touched. I've never used that one. In fact, I use it as a prop sometimes in videos. I'll like replace the cover I'll print something out and make a fake cover, but I've never used the actual book itself for anything because it's pretty outdated. But I do have other books that are larger and other books that are thick, but not as thick as that one. Okay. Let's check and make sure I'm not missing any other comments. Okay, so let's get started with the lesson. Oh, I'm already 6 minutes behind. Whatever, it's what happens. Okay. Let me write up the form we're going to be learning today first. We're going to be learning two forms today. And the first form we're going to be learning is more of a beginner level form. And that is 통해서. And the way that it works is you take a noun and you attach the object marker after the noun. That will be after a consonant or le after a vowel. Then you'll add a space followed by 통해 and then optionally 서. So 통해서 or just 통해. Of those two, 통해서 I think is a little more common, but you can use either one. There's no difference in meaning whether you use it or not. So the 서 is completely optional. Okay, I'm going to leave this for a second. Check the chat. Then we're going to move on. Duchess says, I'm learning 6 languages. Hopefully not all at the same time. That might be a bad idea. The reason is you get them jumbled in your head. Not that you can't learn multiple languages at once. People do it all the time. But the more that you're learning at once, the harder it is to focus on one. And they can sometimes get jumbled. Like you'll try to think of a word and you'll get the wrong language. But if you can do it, that's great. Okay, so what is this verb? Well, you can think of it as meaning through. But the verb itself, this form though, is actually more basic. this 통해서, this part, 통해서, comes from a verb, 통하다. And it's simply conjugated to the 서 form, like doing something, by means of doing something. So 통하다 means actually, let me draw this up too. I usually don't really care about the hanja, but I think this one's kind of cool. I shouldn't write it fast though. Then it just looks like a blob. Okay. Okay. 통하다. This part, 통, comes from a hanja that means to pass or to go through. So, all this whole form is just using one verb. It's hard to even call it a form when all it is just using a verb. Noun, object marker, so something is going to do something to that noun because now it's the object of a verb, specifically an action verb. What action verb? Well, to pass or to go through. So, noun, 통해서 literally means passing through noun or going through noun. That's it. Literally, that's all the form is. 통하다, to pass or go through. 통해서, passing or going through. So, by that, you can translate this form as either through, like through noun, or you could translate it as by way of. So by way of the noun. And when I say through, to pass or go through, this could mean like through doing something. Well, actually, no, that'll be the next form we're going to learn. This could be like through this trip, I learned many new things. Or it could actually be a physically going through. It can actually also mean that you're physically going through something, like through the window. Like I entered through the window. Literally, it just is to pass or go through. So going through or passing through noun, I do or I did, whatever comes after this form. That's it. Hopefully that simplifies it enough because it really cannot get any simpler than that. This is all it is. Going through something. Okay. I'm going to leave this on the board just for a second, and then I'm going to give you the first example sentence. While I'm leaving this up, I'm going to look at the chat. It's pronounced tong in Mandarin. Yes. Yes. This is hanja, so it's from Chinese. Yeah, and Japanese also 16. I think it's the same for Japanese. About 60% of the Japanese language as well is directly from Chinese vocabulary because it was from the Chinese language. It was just like they're pronouncing the Chinese word. You could say to see through something with this, but if you're saying something is see-through, that would be a different verb. Trans Gamer Girl, how often do you do these classes? 2 Sundays in a row, and then I skip 1 Sunday. And then repeat that forever. Except when I'm in Korea, then I don't do streaming that often. I'll do streaming maybe once every month or something in Korea. But I'm not in Korea right now, so. Well, I mean, except for here. Right now I am in Korea, but otherwise, right before this live stream, right after, I will not be. Through the magic of editing. Zandria, no, because this is doing something through. You could say you can get to Montana by going through Oklahoma by using this. But since it's 통해서, it literally is just the 서 form, doing something. So passing through noun, you have to do an action after that. So you couldn't have a description after that. It has to be an action. K-pop girl says, I used to feel the same way about e-textbooks until I got a large tablet with a stylus, and now I also have an e-link tablet. I guess that's true. If you have a really easy to use big tablet, then you might not be as attached to textbooks. Still though, I like the textbook. I don't have to open up my computer or a device to use it. That's the nicest thing. I want to know something, I just pull it out of the book. I pull it out of the book? Bookshelf. That's the word. I want to be writing a lesson, I'll just have it open on my desk. I don't have to worry about the battery. I don't have to charge it. Now, if I had a bunch of textbooks I needed to refer to, then yeah, I would want to have it on a digital device. But as someone who's already gone through those stages, I've already had to learn the language, everything I'm using now is for reference. It's not so much for learning new things, but I have stuff now for reference. Sometimes new stuff. But like I like having grammar references. So I have an amazing book for referencing grammar right now. I use it all the time. When I make these lessons, I also make sure to refer to it just in case I miss anything. Billy's got the Tokebi travel trick. Yeah. Or the Doraemon travel trick, whichever one you subscribe to. Yeah, Yoon Tae-il noticed it's the same because it's from Chinese. So it's going to be the same. It's like if I were to show you a Latin word, and then you would say, hey, it's the same in French. Hey, it's the same in Spanish. Hey, it's the same in... Right, it's the same thing. Yeah, over the river and through the woods to grandma's house we go. I don't know what the specific translation of that in Korean would be, but you could do that with 통하다 as well. Okay. I'll answer some more questions in a bit. I just want to make sure we can go through the lesson as well today. So, I think it is time for our first sentence. So let me give you an example. Actually, I take it back. I want you to give me an example. I want you to make this sentence. You can put anything you want in the blank space here. I learned, or you could change this tense. You can say, I am learning, or I want to learn. You know, you can be creative with it if you want, but don't go too far from it. Otherwise, I probably won't be able to give you any feedback on it if it's like way too different from this sentence. But I want you to make the sentence. I learned something through a book. I want you to make the sentence. There's no race. It's not a race. It's not a race. Although if you're too slow, I'll just go on to the next sentence. But no, you don't need to worry about looking at other people's answers. Just give it your best. Give it your best shot. Someone asked, while you're doing that, I'm going to read some of the other questions I got. Does oppa mean older brother or boyfriend? It does not mean boyfriend. It means older brother or older male friend from the reference of a female. Are 보통 and 통해서 of the same 한자? I'm going to guess no. Let me check. They could be. I don't know too many hansa with tong. Yeah, they're the same hansa. Okay. Let's see. Why is it the same hansa? It's also a word that's just straight from Chinese. So. Yeah, not sure why. I'd have to look it up. Okay, let's see the sentences that are coming in. 책을 통해서 영어 배웠어요. Nice, Bonnie. 책, Lauren Holton, remember the particle that's used. So not the subject marker E, but you'll use the object marker. 저는 책을 통해 한국어를 배웠어요. Nice. 책, okay, Sarah Anderson, you just have a small typo for book, but that's easy to make. 책을 통해서 요리를 배웠어요. Okay, nice. 책을 통해서 햄스터를 잘 키우는 방법 배웠어요. Maddie, that's a very nice sentence. I used to have, actually, I haven't said this before, but I used to have hamsters when I was a kid. I used to raise hamsters. When one of my, this would have been when I was probably 8 years old, around 6, 7, 8. Oh, it was also, yeah, when I was 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 and 10, I had hamsters. So I probably went through about 3 hamsters in that time. Maybe I should have learned how to raise hamsters. They didn't live that long. Not necessarily because of me, just I wasn't an especially skilled hamster raiser. 코딩을 배웠어요. Okay? 책을 통해서 한글을 배웠습니다. Nice. 책을 통해서 한국어 배웠어요. 책 통해서 배웠어요. So a few people have written this typo, so I'll just point it out. 책 is book, 책 is Jack. So if you say 책을 통해서 배웠어요, that means I learned it through Jack. He's a good guy. He told me everything. And there's nothing wrong with your sentence. It's a perfect sentence. But only if you have a friend named Jack. Maybe he's a jack of all trades and he can teach you everything. In which case, totally fine. But yeah, the word you want for book is 책. 추기를 배울 거예요. Okay, for Maria McNeil, you would want to use the 는 것 form whenever you're using the ing form, unless you have a need to use the other one. And I explained that in a live stream and a video I've done previously, but that's just the short version. You want to use 는 것 whenever you can use 는 것. So not 춤추기, but 춤추는 것. 책을 통해서 프랑스어를 배웠어요. MJ Hammer, nice. 저도 프랑스어를 배웠어요. Moi aussi, j'ai étudié le français à mon lycée. I'm sure that makes sense. I'm sure I said it weird, but I'm sure that made sense. 제가 한국어를 비르리 선생님의 책을 통해서 배웠어요. Nice ocean discovery. I like that. Extra points. Extra points for sucking up. Jack knows a lot. Yes. 저는 책을 통해 뜨기 배웠어요. 뜨기. Remind me what 뜨기 is referring to. Is this a sport? Is this an activity? It sounds kind of familiar, but I can't put my finger on what it is. Is that? Oh, okay. Ah, okay. Crochet. Yeah, I swear I've heard it before. I don't know the term that they use for that sort of thing. Kind of like knitting. Okay. 책을 통해 뜨는 거 배웠어요. Okay. If it has its own name, like 뜨기, I'm not sure what they refer to it. I would guess maybe they just call it 뜨기. 뜨는 것 would be like the act of doing it. So that's more clear to someone who wouldn't know it. The app Duolingo finally updated its Korean course. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Updated. We'll see. Okay. Awesome. Let me give you an example. Let me give you my sentence then. You all did fantastic. Especially Jack. Jack is the star of these sentences, really. Okay. 책을 통해서, so through a book, literally passing through or going through a book. 수학을 배웠어요. I learned 수학, math. 책을 통해서 수학을 배웠어요. So I learned math through a book. Next sentence. I want you to make this too. I heard it through the news. I heard it through the news. Again, this doesn't have to be physical things like through the door. It can just be through something, through someone, through a book, through the news. I will tell you though, the word you want for news is news. News. News is just like news as in like the media news. So I heard it through the news. Let's read more of your comments now. Izumi edits. I cannot read Korean yet. All right, well, you can start right now. Not from this lesson, though. This assumes you already know how to read Korean, but you can start on my channel. MJ Hammer. That is not through. That is using. And we'll talk about that. But what the prerequisite for this lesson would be already knowing that, but I will mention it in a bit, so don't worry. Okay. 원래 오래 살지 못해요. Small hamsters don't live very long. Okay. Yeah, that might be why. But when my first hamster died, we buried it in the backyard. This was when I was a little kid. We had a really big backyard as a kid. And then I had they were all named Flower. All my hamsters were named Flower. When the last Flower died, you know, I was like, okay, I don't need any more hamsters now. I'm tired of taking care of hamsters. Went to the next pet. I think after that I had a rat for a very short period, but then it bit me. But anyway, for the hamster, so I had a funeral. So I coordinated a funeral for my hamster. I recorded the whole thing. I have the tape, but it's in VHS. I have to transfer it. But I recorded the whole funeral. It's like a 40-minute long funeral, and I had my friends come over, and they were the mourners. And one of my older brother's friends came and gave a speech. I had a little contraption that I would lower the casket down into the ground, so it wouldn't just get dropped down. It's this whole thing, and recorded it and everything. There were snacks for everyone who attended, for my family. It was really memorable. Okay, let's check your sentences. 뉴스를 통해서 들었어요. Perfect, Bonnie. Bonnie, you're going for the first one, aren't you? You're trying to be first. 뉴스를 통해서 그 사실을 들었거든. Okay. 뉴스를 통해서 들었어요. 뉴스를 통해서 들었어요. Nice. Jordy, you're just on time. And you still got it. Even though you came late, you still got the sentence perfect. 들었어요. 뉴스를 통해서 들었어요. Ocean Discovery? No, it's gone. Try again. So I can see it. I didn't get to read it before you deleted it. Okay, let me skim through. I'm just going really quick, and I'm going to go down to the members so I can make sure to get theirs. MJ Hammer, 뉴스를 통해서 들었어요. Perfect. Carrie, 뉴스를 통해서 들었어요. Perfect. Lexica, 저는 뉴스를 통해 들었어요. Oh, typo for that. Lexico, just small typo. 들었어요. 들리다 is actually a separate verb, and you could use it like that, but that's a different meaning, so you wouldn't use that. 들었어요. 들었어요 for to listen. How many flower hamsters did you have? I want to say 3. It could have been 4. I don't remember clearly. Like, this was before everyone had smartphones and cell phones, so you don't really have very many photos unless you bought a bunch of film and you paid to get it processed. So I don't have too many photos, so I didn't keep a journal, so I don't really know exactly, but I want to say 3 or 4. No more than that, though. How old were you when you first learned about death? Wow, this is a deep question. I can't say I remember, because I don't remember much before I was like 4 or 5 years old anyway. Like, my earliest memory I have is probably when I was like 3 or 4. And it's like, and I have a really small memory of like being 1, but like there's nothing. It's like a picture. I don't know. It would have been at least by the time I was 6. Just by his love for hamsters. Who else can guess his bias? What? What are you talking about? Are you talking about BTS or something else? Okay. So I almost said next sentence, but I have to give you the translation for this one. But you already got it. I think it's like the exact same that I got too. Let me just check. Yeah, it's the exact same as I got. 뉴스를 통해서, through the news. Through the news? 들었어요. I heard it through the news. 뉴스를 통해서 들었어요. I heard it through the news. Okay, This one, I'm just going to give you for time. I'm sure you could have gotten this one as well if I gave it to you. 친구를 통해서, through a friend. 만나다, to meet. So 만났어요. We met through a friend. 친구를 통해서 만났어요. We met through a friend. Okay, that was just for time. I wanted to give you one. Okay, I want you to finish. No, I want you to start this sentence. I'm going to give you the ending. 햇빛이 들어와요. Sunlight comes in through the window. I want you to say, how would you say through the window, sunlight comes in? You can just write the through the window part if you don't want to write the whole sentence out. 햇빛이 들어와요. So 햇빛, literally, 햇빛, sun, 빛, sunlight. The sun's light, 햇빛. So sunlight comes in through the window. How would you say through the window? David or don't worry, that will get answered, but the no form was a prerequisite for this lesson, so that's why I haven't answered it yet, because technically you should know that form already before starting this form, but I will talk about it after I've finished these sentences, so don't worry, I'll get there. Jordy Kroon, 창문, quick, Jordy, small typo, Jordy. I don't want to tell you what it is. I'll just say particle. Ocean Discovery said, 그걸 들었어요? Did you hear that? Yeah. Perfect. 그걸 들었어요? 그거 들었어요? Did you hear that? 창문을 통해서 Ocean Discovery. Perfect. 창문을 통해서 MJ Hammer. Carrie, 창문을 통해서. Perfect. Okay, let me see everyone else's sentences now. 창문을 통해서 햇빛이 들어와요. 창문을 통해서. I get it. We got it. 창문을 통해서 햇빛이 들어와요. Nice, Jordy Kroon. I'll pretend I didn't see the first one, so that's perfect. 창문을 통해서, Lexica. Yes, perfect. 창문을 통해서. Nice, Eva. Wrong word. I think you did that on purpose. 지아우부, 창문을. 기아우부, you're missing the form for today. The rest of your sentence is fine. Well, 들어와요, so spelling for that. 들어와요. 창문을 통해서 햇빛이 들어와요. Yes. Wait, why did Nightbot just share my book? I never told it to do that. Did someone give it a command? What? It just started talking. Okay, sure. I'm using iPhone green. I see. That's pretty cool. Okay. 창문을 통해서. So through the window, 햇빛, sunlight 들어와요. Sunlight comes in through the window. 창문을 통해서 햇빛이 들어와요. So sunlight comes in through the window. How are we on time now? 30. Okay, we're doing okay. Well, 10 minutes behind, but we're doing okay. And one more sentence I want to give to you. I just want to give you this next sentence. 그걸 알게 됐어요. 이번 여행을 통해서. So through this 여행, through this trip, through the trip that I went on this time, 많은 것, many things with the object marker, 많은 걸 알게 되다. This means to come to know or to learn something. 알게 됐어요. So I came to know many things through this trip. So through the trip that I just took, or through this trip right now, I learned many things. So through this trip, I learned many things. 이번 여행을 통해서 많은 걸 알게 됐어요. You definitely want to know the verb 알게 되다 for to come to know, literally, or just to learn something. Not like you've learned something through studying, but like you found out. So 알게 되다 would be to learn or to find out or to come to know. Okay. So the way this form works is quite simple, and pretty much everyone got it. In fact, the only mistakes that I saw in anyone's sentences were just small typos, like our friend Jack. And that's not even a typo on the form. So I think you've got the form, but now let's talk a little bit more about it. So what is this form? Is that it? Well, this form means through or by way of. So for example, I learned math through a book, or I learned math by way of a book. I heard it by way of the news. I heard it through the news. We met by way of a friend. We met through a friend. The sunlight comes in by way of the window. You get the idea. How often do we say through or by way of in English in the first place? It's fine to say, but it's a little less common than saying other things. Now, how would we say this sentence more naturally? I learned math through a book. I learned math through a book. We might say that, but we might also say, I learned math with a book. I learned math using a book. Or I just learned math with books. I heard it through the news. I heard it on the news. We met through a friend. A friend introduced us. The sunlight comes in through the window. That we might just say the sunlight comes in through the window. I'm not sure how else you could say. Through this trip, I learned many things. On this trip, I learned many things. This form overall has a bit of a formal feel. And because of that, because it has slightly more of a formal feel to it, it's a little less commonly used. So, what does that mean? That means you're probably not going to need to use this form on a regular basis. Instead, it's more common simply just to use the 으로 particle. Maybe write that right here. The 으로 particle means using. So if you were to say, 책으로 수학을 배웠어요. I learned math using a book. 뉴스로 들었어요. I heard it on the news. Like that. Using something. So you can use using 으로 in place of 통해서 in most cases, not all cases. If you wanted to say we met through a friend, you might want to say, you wouldn't say 친구로 만났어요. We met using a friend. By a friend, you would say, you could just say 친구를 통해서 만났어요. Or 친구가 소개시켜줬어요. The friend introduced us or something like that. Or if you wanted to say I heard it on the news, or I heard it through a friend. I heard it through a friend. You could say 친구를 통해서 들었어요. Or you could say 친구한테 들었어요. So I heard it to or from a friend. In this case, from. I heard it from a friend. Most of the time, you can just use other particles, such as these or others, in regular conversations, because 통해서 has a little bit of a formal feel and is less commonly used. So I'll say that again. 통해서 sounds a bit more formal and is less commonly used. So instead, you might want to just use a regular particle, such as 으로, meaning using, or maybe 에게 or 안테, meaning to or from. This doesn't mean you can replace 통해서 with these in every situation, but most of the time you should be able to replace it with another particle and it'll sound more common. So many people were asking in the chat, what's the difference between this form and 으로? Well, the difference is it has a different meaning. 통해서 is like by way of or through, literally through, and physically through. Whereas udol is simply utilizing something, using something. So because of that, you can't swap them in every case. But in many cases you can. For example, I heard it through a friend. You could say I heard it from a friend, but you wouldn't say I heard it using a friend or I heard it by a friend. So anyway, I hope that kind of helps to clarify how it's different. Okay, let me check the chat for a second. 빌리 선생님을 통해서 철수를 알게 되었어요. That is true. That is true. I came to know 철수 through Billy. Yeah. I did hear something kind of funny. So you know that in Squid Game, for those of you who watched the drama, in Squid Game, the first episode, they have that robot girl who is Young-hee. It's supposed to be the robot Young-hee, which is a child character used in many Korean textbooks in like the 1970s and I think maybe 1980s as well. They're kind of like classic characters that would appear in the school textbook series. And Young-hee's friend is Charsu. So that's why I always use sentences with Charsu and Young-hee. This was long before Squid Game came out. I've been using examples with them just because they're fun names. They also have a dog. But anyway, Charsu is apparently going to appear in Squid Game Season 2 as per the director's announcement. So I don't know what Charsu is going to be doing, but you'll get to see Charsu. Maybe he'll be another robot in the second season. So I'm looking forward to that. Season, I don't know, it could be terrible, but at least we'll get Charsu out of it, so it's a win. Okay, we're not done with this form though. One more thing about this form. There's one more usage for the verb 통하다. Now, I said that it means to pass through or to go through something, but it has one additional meaning. I wrote that bad. It can also mean to get one another. Like we get one another. We're on the same page or we match. And the way that it gets used is either just by itself as 통하다, or if you want to specify what it is that we match on, you can put that before with the subject marker. So if you want to say our hearts match, we have the same feeling about it, then you can say 마음이 통하다. So literally, our hearts match. Or 말이 통하다. 말, your words match. Like we're saying the same thing. We're totally speaking about the same thing. We're on the same page. And this is more of not a slang expression, but a conversational expression. So you won't use this in like formal essays and stuff, but it's really commonly used in speech. Let me give you an example. Literally, though, this has the same meaning. It's not a separate verb that you're using when you say 통하다 in this sense. It's still the same one. It goes through. It's like saying our words are passing each other. Like they're not being blocked. Okay. Let me give you one example. I think this eraser's already dying. It's only been 1 week and it's already. 엄마랑은, so with my mom. So as for when it comes to talking with my mom, 말이 안 통해요. So my words don't match literally with her. This would translate as I can't communicate well with my mom. You know, we just can't speak to each other. We just can't. Well, how would you even say this? What would be a good way to translate this? We just can't, we just can't communicate well. I'm trying to think of a slangy expression that we could say this. But yeah, literally, with my mom, our words are not matching. Our words aren't communicating well. The vibes are off. It's not so much about your feelings. This is about how your words are working. Your words are not passing through to each other. Literally is what you get. We don't get each other. We don't see eye to eye. Yeah. But specifically, yes, you're talking about different things. So you're disagreeing is kind of what it implies. With your words are not 통하다. You could say 마음이 안 통해요. That's like we have different opinions on things. We don't really see eye to eye. That would work. But this one, you could translate it however you'd want. 엄마랑은 말이 안 통해요. So I just can't communicate well with my mom. This is just an example sentence. I actually can communicate totally fine with my mom. We get along pretty well. As well as all my family members. We don't connect. Okay. I almost wrote mom in my notes because of your accent. British. Nice. We're not on the same wavelength. Okay, again, a lot of these expressions in English, just to clarify, a lot of these kind of imply your feelings, whereas it doesn't have to be your feelings, it's more of your words. Is this the same 통 as in 통화하다, as it would sound like talking through a phone? No, it's not. It is the same 통, but it's not the same verb as 통화하다. Yeah. Okay. We don't get through to each other. That could be good. That could be really good translation because that implies communication. We can't really get through to each other. Sure. Communication block. Okay. Yeah. Any of those ways you want to translate it. So just keep an eye out for that. You'll see this used a lot. It doesn't have to be used with a noun like this. It could just be 잘 안 통해요. Or you can use it in the past tense. 안 통했어요. Or 잘 통했어요. 우리 통해. Yeah, we're in sync. Kind of like we match well with each other. 둘이 정말 통해. Like the two of them really match. You don't have to use it with a noun, but it typically gets used with one if you want to specify what it is that you match or don't match on. Okay. So that's all there is to know about the verb 통하다. But there's one more form that we still have to cover, and this is more of an intermediate level form. I will say that if you're a beginner, I would just plug your ears. Well, okay, not really, but don't worry about learning the second form we're going to be doing. Just make a little note about it. That way you can look at it later, but don't stress about it. It's not used that often. I'm going to write it up on the board first. Okay. First of all, I have to say that this form, 으로 써, is not the same as this one. 으로 써. I know it's confusing, but these are different forms. And if you would like to learn about this form, I have a live stream that I did about it. Back from August 29, 2021. So if you'd like to learn about this form, 으로 써, you can learn about it there. It's not the same form. 으로 써 is a different form. Okay. Just check the chat for a second. 소통. Yeah, you'll see 통 in a lot of 한자. Lots of Chinese words. Okay, what this form means is also similar to what 통하다 does, but now with an action verb. So the way it works is you take an action verb stem, so that's the verb with the ta missing at the end, and then you'll attach if it ends in a consonant or a mium if it ends in a vowel. So essentially what you're doing is turning that action verb into a noun, and then you attach 으로써. And it'll always be 으로써 because the end of this is in a consonant. Okay. What this means, again, is that you're doing something through or by means of something. Another way you might see it translated is via. Same thing, through. However, this form, however, cannot be used to say that you are physically going through something. So you could not use this form to say, I entered through the window. This would be through doing something. Again, through or by means of or via doing something. And this form, like 통하다, is a little bit more formal sounding. On top of it, though, this form specifically has a written feel. So it's not going to be spoken very much. If you use it, it sounds like you're saying something more fancy, like something that was written down. And it is less commonly used. So you're not going to use this on a regular basis to say, I did something through doing this. It's not that commonly used. Okay, I'm going to leave this up for a second before I give you my example sentences. I have 2 example sentences prepared. I'm actually going to have you write it, but I'm going to leave this up for a second. Okay, let's see the chat again if I missed any questions. They updated their courses. They have 61 units. Okay. Adding more units wasn't the issue though. I feel. But then, I mean, I'm not their target. So they have their own system. Okay. Jordy says, this is really the first time I see instead of 능기 used in grammar forms. It doesn't get used too much. You're right. Yeah, doesn't get used too much. Billy's beginner course. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Lexica's out there promoting me. It's a free beginner course that I made back in 2020, and it's still everything. All the information in there still applies, so it's not like it's old or anything. And it's 100 episodes, completely free, and you can start from the very beginning. It starts off with Hangul, goes into sound change rules, and a lot of really basic grammar. It doesn't include this grammar form though, because this would be beyond that the low beginner level. But yeah, you can check that out as well. I've tried to use Duolingo for Korean, but it felt so pointless, like it wasn't really helping me learn Korean. Again, I've only used it when it was a little bit newer, a couple years ago, and yeah, I don't know. I wish them best, but it didn't impress me. What I did like though is the Sejong Institute has apps, and I used those for a video I did about apps, and I thought those were, of the apps that were designed to teach you Korean, that seemed to be like the most useful, I thought. And there's some other fun apps. I did a video where I review some of the best apps for learning Korean, and I did mention that and a few others. There are a few other ones that were also useful as well, but that was my favorite, was the Sejong apps. Those were also free. They're kind of structured like games, but they did have some useful information in them. Wahiba says, well, I learned to introduce myself and ask where the bathroom is. That might be the most important thing that someone should learn in Korean is you need to know a few things. You need to know how to say hello, thank you, sorry, in case you do something wrong, and where is the bathroom? These are just essentials for anywhere you want to travel in Korea. Like introducing yourself, ordering food, all of these are second. Those can come later. You need to know where's the bathroom. How to apologize? If you're only just learning it in phrase form, there are a few ways, but one simple way is just 죄송합니다. I am sorry. Or 미안합니다. You can use either of those. Yeah, Maddie, with the Sejong Institute apps, you say, I found it kind of confusing to figure out which app has which purpose. Yeah, that's because they have a lot of apps. I think they need to consolidate them down to like one app and then just put everything in one app. Yeah, I also felt like it didn't matter too much. Some of them had kind of similar stuff. So, Ali Wolf, what's your take on Tuida? I've never recommended it. So I'll just say that. I have tried it. Maybe they'll update it. We'll see. I don't know how to get over the fear of speaking Korean to people in real life. It's the same as the fear of speaking to people in real life, whether it's in Korean or any other language. And someone like myself as well, who also kind of has some anxiety, issues with that sort of thing. It's just something you do. You just do it. And you don't have to like it, but you can like the results. And the hardest part is just beginning, just starting, just saying hello, just saying something or finding something to think about, to say. That's the hardest part. Beyond that, the conversation is easy. So, and I experience that whenever I'm trying to introduce myself to strangers or do my interview videos in Korean. Because you have to imagine when I do my street interviews, I'm walking down the street carrying this, my camera and my tripod and my backpack, and I've got papers and I've, everything like that, and my business card and my microphone. You can imagine me walking around. People have seen me in Korea filming like that before. And then I have to stop, put everything down for a second awkwardly and walk up to them like, hey, and, introduce myself and ask them if I can film them. And 99% of the time they say no. And then I'm like, okay, and you go back to the next person. It always feels awkward doing it, but it's just, you do it. And after you've started and they say, yeah, we can talk, you can film me. Then it's easy. Then the conversation just flows. And it wouldn't matter my Korean ability beyond that point. So yeah, if that helps, just focus on the beginning part, starting it. Don't worry about after that. It's easy. Okay. So here's an example sentence. And I want you to write this example sentence. I learned Korean history through reading books. I learned Korean history through reading books. Again, you could not use the 통해서 form for this because it's not through books. If it was through books, you could. 책을 통해서. We already did that. Or from our friend Jack, remember? 책을 통해서. It's through reading books. Through reading books, I learned Korean history. So how would you say this sentence? I think I need a new... I'm still using you can't really see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. Oh no, it's like totally broken. I don't know what's up with this. I actually hold my tablet, which has your comments and my outline, on a music stand that I got when I was in fifth grade. I was a clarinet player. And this is the music stand that I bought. I don't remember, it was like $20 back in the day or something. And I still kept it, and that's what I use. It's a super old music stand. It barely works. The feet keep falling off. I had to tape the feet back on. But yeah, and it just keeps... I'm watching it during the live stream. It's like... Okay, let's see what the comments are. 책을 읽음으로써 한국 역사를 배웠어요. MJ Hammer, excellent. Jordy Kroon, 책을 읽음으로써 한국 역사를 배웠어요. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, now that I've done my members' sentences, let me start reading everyone else's. Oh, Duchess has a good sentence in English. My uncle learned Korean through fighting in the Korean War. Yes. My grandfather also was in the Korean War, though he didn't really learn much Korean. 책을 읽음으로써, yes, booksketball. 책을 읽음으로써 한국사를 배웠다. Okay, you can use 한국사, being a little fancy there. 책을 읽음으로써 한국 역사를 배웠어요. 책을 읽음으로써, not 읽으면서, that would be a different form, Rebecca. 책을 읽음으로써 대한민국의 역사를 배웠어요. Okay. It would just be 한국 역사. Would be a little bit more common. 책을 읽음으로써 한국 역사를 배웠어요. 책을 읽음으로써 한국의 역사를 배웠어요. Perfect, Hannah JT. 책을 읽음으로써 한국 역사를 배웠어요. Frankie Ray, I used to play clarinet. Yeah, I used to play it too. I was not good. I ended up giving the clarinet away, though, to someone else. I can't remember who I gave it away to. I just remember, like, the reed gets dry so much, and then you have to, like, keep licking it. You, like, suck on the reed for, like, 5 minutes before your performance to get it ready. And then after you play it, like, the clarinet smells. So you have to clean it out. So I remember I'd always, like, I'm, like, cleaning it out with this cleaning cloth and everything, and you're, like, wiping it down. And then, you know, oh, the notes don't press down very well. I got to get it serviced, you know, send it off. It was a pain. I'm like, I don't like it that much. Mom, I'm done with the clarinet. She was just trying to support me doing an instrument. She wasn't pushing me. No, I picked clarinet. Actually, so I don't know why this is totally unrelated. So I was interested in playing the flute as a kid. This would have been in second grade. Yeah, second, third grade. I was really interested in playing the flute. I thought that looked so cool. You know, so I was like, I want a flute. You know, you could buy a used flute. It's not a huge financial commitment. My mom was like, okay. So I attended a presentation by the music teacher at the time at my elementary school. And he was like talking, like he demonstrated the band that they're doing. And he's like, yeah, we have a music club. If you'd like to join, you can come speak to me. And, you know, after the performance, I went up with my mom and I'm like, yeah, I want to join. And he's like, oh, what are you interested in playing? I'm like, oh, I think I want to do the flute. I want to learn how to play the flute. And he's like, oh, he's like, here, can you try blowing into this flute here? And he like handed me like a small flute head and I couldn't do it. And he's like, yeah, I think your lip shape is preventing you from playing the flute. Here, why don't you should try the clarinet instead. I think clarinet would work better. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, your lip shape isn't right for playing the flute. I'm like, oh, that's too bad. He's like, but you can play the clarinet. I'm like, okay. Then later I figured out that guy lied. He just had too many flute players. But my whole life, I thought that I couldn't play the flute because my lip shape somehow affected that. Like it was, you have to have the right lip shape to play the flute. So if I ever find that guy, I swear, the guy was a jerk. Destroyed my dreams of playing the flute by lying to me and telling me I could play the clarinet, which I didn't end up enjoying. So it makes zero sense. But it's okay. Now yeah. It's not okay. I never got over it. It's a traumatic experience for me now. Let's see. Lexica. Oh, small typo. Yeah, I see. Okay, you caught it. 역사. Yes. 책을 읽음으로써 한국 역사를 배웠어요. Perfect. Chromatic scale. Okay. I played the flute and clarinet. A lucky you. You have holes in your lower jaw. What? What does that mean? Because you played a woodwind instrument. I didn't play it that much. I played it for a few years. Gender norms. No, it wasn't that. It was sadder than that. It was just, we have too many flute players. Your lip shape doesn't match with the flute. You can't play the flute. And my mom didn't know any better. She believed him because he was the music instructor. Why would he lie to a child and dash his dreams? I don't know. Actually, don't even remember who it was. Because he didn't end up being my band instructor anyway. It ended up being someone else who was really cool. Maybe an ocarina? Yeah, I did learn how to play the ocarina. So you got that, yeah. I can't play it very well though. I used to be a little better at it. But you know what I'm doing. I never had an ocarina. I didn't have enough to afford buying one, but my friend taught me you could do it with your hands, so that was kind of cool. So that's how you became Squidward. Yes. SpongeBob. Hey! Hey, SpongeBob. Yeah, that's how I ended up becoming Squidward. That's my villain origin story. Denied the flute. Frankie Ray says, all woodwind instrument players have holes in their lower jaws because of playing? Really? That sounds interesting, and I don't know why would they? How would they? I don't know. I'm not sure. Xandria Waters. Ignore that. It's for another chat. Okay, let's see what you wrote. I really just feel like one of those cheesy taquitos and Diet Pepsi. Taquitos, yeah. If you see them, grab nachos with the queso. Okay. Sounds pretty good. Don't get the queso with Chipotle, though. I found it was really, really mediocre. They have like a cheese queso that you can add. Cheese? They have like a cheese you can add as a topping. Not worth it. Not worth the money. Just get the guacamole if you wanna splurge. Okay. So let me give you the sentence. Oops, sorry. I was expecting some people to get it wrong, but everyone got it right. Shouldn't write it that way. Yep, that's it. 책을 읽음으로써. So through reading, 읽다, to read, a book or books, 한국 역사, Korean history 배웠어요. So I learned Korean history through reading, or by way of, or via, however you want to translate it, through reading books. So through reading books, I learned Korean history. 책을 읽음으로써 한국 역사를 배웠어요. So I learned Korean history through reading books. Again, through the action of reading books. Okay, next sentence. I want you to start this sentence. I'm going to finish the sentence. Okay. I would tell you what to put here, but I think it's going to be more fun if I don't tell you. I'll just tell you this part. 얻는 행복. So 얻다 is to receive or get. So 행복 is happiness. So the happiness that you get, 커요, is big. So the happiness that you get through doing something is great. I want you to get to do this sentence. I already have a boring answer written down. It's nothing special. I know some of you are just going to put like through learning Korean, but do whatever you want. So the happiness that you get through doing is great. There's great happiness that can be got from doing, or through doing, I should say. Okay, while you're writing that, I'm going to read some more comments. I wanted to learn drums. My band teacher said no, so I chose clarinet. Yeah, what's it with band teachers and discouraging children's dreams? Just let us learn the instruments that we want to learn. I had the most fun, though, in band class when one day the teacher was like, again, this wasn't the same teacher. This was a worse teacher. The teacher was like, okay, everyone. Oh, no, it was a substitute. That's why it happened. The regular teacher was not a cool guy, but the substitute teacher was cool. He's like, okay, everyone, I want you all to try a different instrument for today. So he's like, if you have never tried a certain instrument, switch with someone else. These were not our own instruments. These were the instruments we were using there. So you would switch. So we would use different instruments. So I went over to the contrabass, I believe it was. You know, the really big one. Oh, that was so much fun playing with that thing. I was like, dang, in another life, I would have played this. In another rich life, where my mom could afford buying me $1,000 instrument or more, I would have played that and not been very good at it. It was just fun. You know, like pretend I'm good at it. And I think he had us just doing like some exercises for like 10 minutes. And then he played a video and then we went home. It was a good class. By the way, Billy, I have cabbage salting down in the kitchen right now to make kimchi. Awesome. Make sure to leave it for plenty of time to make sure it's all nice and wilted. That'll give it the, that'll give it that better, softer texture. Some people don't like it. Some people like the crunch, the fresh crunch of it. No, I'm not so much for that. I prefer the wilted type of texture when you have kimchi. So I think I would do it for like 12 hours, but you could even do it for like 24 hours. 옷을 삼으로써 얻는 행복이 커요. The happiness I get through buying clothes. Okay. I didn't expect that kind of answer. That's good. 요리. So lexica. Remember the verb. It goes on the verb stem. So not a noun, but onto a verb stem. If you're trying to say from cooking. So that would be 요리하다. Unless you're trying to say something else. And Ali Wolf, you want to say 춤을 추다. So not 춤. I mean, you could say this with a noun, but it's not used. 밥통한테 얘기로써? Evolving brain, what are you trying to say, evolving brain? 밥통? What about the rice cooker? 팟캐스트를 들음으로써 얻는 행복이 생각보다 커요. Okay, Maddie. 달림으로써 얻는 행복이 커요. So running, 달리다. 한국에 감으로써. Okay, you might want to say not through going to Korea because that's just going to Korea. Like you get on the plane and you fly to Korea and you're there. That's it. I think what you mean is traveling in Korea. So like 한국에서 여행함으로써 would be what you want to say. Like traveling within Korea or like 구경함으로써, like through looking around, like in Korea, like that kind of thing. Just as a suggestion. 빌리쌤의 생방송을 봄으로써 얻는 행복이 커요. Oh, that's very nice. Very nice of you to say. And your sentence is correct. Lexica, 요리함. Yes. Then the rest of your sentence is good. 친구랑 노름. For 놀다. You would do. No, for that. This is an exception for this. I should have mentioned that. For when you're adding the if you have a verb stem that ends with this letter, then you attach the mium to it. So it becomes one piece. I should have mentioned that. Unless it's one of the verbs that wouldn't do that, for like 듣다, for like to listen, which is it becomes 들어요 when you listen, but when it's conjugated normally it doesn't. It's not 들다, it's 듣다. Okay. I'm glad you wrote that though, or else I would have forgotten about that exception. That's not an exception for this form though. That's just an exception for this conjugation. So you'll see that sort of this noun conjugation where you change a verb into a noun with the or a mium. Like that is used in many forms, and it's the same as the regular exceptions for that. But I forgot to mention it again that it still exists. The reason is this form is so rarely used that you wouldn't say that, so you don't really need to know that. But if you did want to say that, then that's how you'd have to do it. Sue says, I had a flute at one time. I was starting to teach myself, then I sold it. However, I learned how to play guitar in 8th grade and have been playing on and off since. Also, I can play a little. Yeah, guitar was one thing that I actually wanted to learn. So I bought, actually I have in my closet right now, I have an electric guitar and an amp. And I did learn it for like a 3-month period for like two months. For like 2 months, I diligently learned how to play the guitar. I learned some chords. I learned how to play a couple songs. In fact, if you want to hear me play guitar, the video I made with Hyunwoo, where I'm reacting to my old clips of myself speaking Korean. In there, I think one of the first clips is me playing guitar. I was not good, but that was kind of fun. I still have the guitar. I just never touched it since. That was like well over a decade ago. Is it too late to learn to play violin? I don't know. Should be fine. So Sue says, no, I've never heard of woodwind players having holes in their bottom lip. It's not true. Okay, I don't know. I don't know why you would get holes from playing a woodwind instrument, but not from singing. And not from just yelling. Like, does that mean all singers? Everyone who yells? Everyone who plays brass instruments too? Like, why would it just be woodwinds? I don't know. You can get better at guitar. You can do it better. Yeah, I could, but I don't really want to. I have other interests these days. Lately, I'm interested in learning. I still am always interested in learning cooking. So I started doing a sourdough starter. I'm going to make my own sourdough bread. I started that over 2 weeks ago. It's going well. I'm going to do it for 1 more week before I start baking. I'm learning photography. And that's pretty much the extent of what I can have some time for. I don't even have time to do those either. Cooking is just because I do that because I have to eat. But photography, I rarely have time to do that. And most of the time, my free time is filled with making lessons and videos. So, okay. The pressure you build up inside your mouth. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be interesting. I said, never heard that before. Okay. My answer I have here is a little bit more boring. Actually, I should have written this a little bit higher, so I have no room to write it now. 봉사를 함으로써, 봉사를 하다 is to do service. So through doing service, 얻다, to receive, to get, 행복. So the happiness that I get is big, literally. So I get a lot. So there's a big happiness to be gotten through doing service, is what it means. 봉사를 함으로써 얻는 행복이 커요. But again, this form sounds a bit more formal. It sounds more like a written style and is less commonly used. So if you want to say through doing something more naturally, you could just say 하면서, while doing something, or 할 때, or 하면 would probably work a little bit more better. And there are other ways you can say it as well. With a noun, though, you'll want to use the 으로 form, or from, like from someone, as I explained before. Okay. So that is the entire lesson. This thing just doesn't erase. It's like, I'll erase and then it'll like wipe more on the board again. These are just terrible. I'll take some questions. Again, no live stream for next Sunday. Now I'll take some questions for about 15 minutes. So we can do a little Q&A. Any Korean questions or questions about anything? I'm just going to read some of the chat. Eminem Twix says, I'm a music teacher. I'm glad you have hobbies. What do you teach? That's pretty cool. Is the meaning different compared to 서비스? Yeah. So 서비스 literally is from the English word service, but 서비스 in Korean, which although it's spelled as 서비스, you pronounce it as 서비스 with a double 시옷 at the beginning. That's used to mean on the house. 서비스예요. It's service is what they would express to say. It's on the house. Or you'll get this as service is what they say. So yeah, it's not used to actually, 봉사 is actually doing service, like helping other people service, kind of service. Service. It's never too late to learn. If you have the desire to learn, you can learn many things. Find a music teacher near you. Okay, MJ Hammer says, how would you compare 통하다 to using the word 어울리다? 통하다 is to match with someone, as in you're on the same wavelength. 어울리다 is a descript. So 통하다 again is a typically it would be an action, like you're going by, you're going through something literally. 어울리다 is simply two people match in general. Like they get along well, not necessarily that, but just 둘이 잘 어울려요. Like they match, they look like they match. But it's not a match as in like puzzle pieces match. It's more like it goes with matching. 어울리다. So you could say clothes 어울리다, typically. Or people 어울리다. But you wouldn't say 말이 어울리다. or 마음이 어울리다. That wouldn't make any sense because these are the two things that go together is kind of what it means. So go together might be a better translation for that. If you want to say things literally match, like they match up, like puzzle pieces or something like that, you would use 맞다. For that. And 맞다 is used for a lot of stuff as well, but that's how you use it as well. Oh, Josh B. Josh Bogman. Billy. Hongsik? Yoon Hongsik? Is that Professor Yoon? I don't know his full name. I just recognize the Yoon. Is that Professor Yoon's name? 한자 교실 나의 한국어 유튜버. 감사합니다. 영어 한자 교과서 알아요? Do you know the English 한자? 대학 도서관에서 Sino-Tibetan etymology 책 빌렸어요, but it feels too broad. Thank you, Josh, for the nice donation. That's a good question. So someone mentioned that, they haven't mentioned here. Talk to Me in Korean has a Hanja book, but it only has, I believe, 500 or so. There is also a Hanja book by the people who made, I believe, Integrated Korean, the textbook series. I think there's an Integrated Korean Hanja book as well. I don't know if it's any good. I know that's used for some college courses though, but as far as a book that's in English that you could use for learning, I don't know what to tell you. I would say use just various websites, like search Hanja lesson and go through those various websites to learn Hanja in the beginning, because there's just too much out there. For learning details about Hanja though, you wouldn't want to go through English textbook in the first place, because I don't know any that would give in-depth information enough in English. Whereas I do know several books in Korean. I own some of them, but they're all in Korean. And those are really useful in Korean though. But in English, I don't know if it would be as useful unless it actually tried to explain everything really in depth. So I would recommend, I guess, just for starters, just the Talk to Me in Korean one if you do want a book, or searching Hanja lesson on Google and using whatever comes up. Those are probably fine too. Again, this is just for the beginning stages anyway. You don't need to have a specialty book for the basics. But beyond the basics, you would need to go into Korean. That's where all the books are. Emma Twix says, I teach primarily voice, but guitar and piano as well. Yeah, you sound like my parents. My parents also did that. Talk to Me in Korean. Hyunwoo had a live stream with his son. Would you ever have a live stream with Jeremy? Yeah, not a live stream, but I'm going to be doing a video with him again soon. I've done a couple videos with him already. And you can see the videos on my channel. If you search Jeremy on my channel, you'll find we did a video selecting ice cream together and eating that. And we did another video after that going to Gyeongbokgung together and wearing hanbok. So both of those are on my channel. And I'll do another video with him coming up sometime this year. All right, let me just keep reading the comments here. Someone says, I highly recommend Useful Hanja for Learners of Korean. Which book is that? Duchess asks, is 3 years studying long enough to learn Korean? It depends what you're doing with those 3 years. Are those 3 years of crying while watching Korean dramas and listening to K-pop? Or is it 3 years of intensive studying while living in Korea and talking with Korean friends? Those are completely different schedules. And one of them, the spoiler alert, one of them will teach you Korean in 3 years. But then, and the other question would be how much Korean? So everyone has their different goals. And in order to set exactly, how long do I think it should take for this and what are my goals, you would need to meet with a tutor or something, like, a specialist to give you tips for that. But it's not a general question that anyone can answer. If you ever hear anyone answering, it takes this long to learn this, don't listen to them. They're just making it up. There isn't any answer for that. It'll depend on the person and your study schedule. Oh, Fisho says, did your friend... Okay, your friend suggested you learn Japanese. Yes, that's right. When I was like 15 or 16, because he was learning Japanese. Did your friend ever get fluent in Japanese? No. And in fact, after a few months, I remember he had already given up on it. So no, it was just he got me started in it and then never went on to do anything more with it after that. But that was enough because I got started on it and I'm like, I like this. And I wanted to keep doing it regardless of the friend doing it or not anyway. Bread baking. Good for you. 감사해요. Joe Turner. I remember the video buying ice cream with Jeremy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was fun. All I did was I'm like, hey, let's go down across the city. And there's an ice cream store there. And then I'm going to film us eating ice cream. And he's like, okay. And that was the start of the video. There was no script. I didn't tell him to say or do anything. And then we just picked out ice cream for like, I don't know, 10 minutes. And I chopped it down to like, I think 3 or 4 minutes, which you see. Useful Hanja for Learners of Korean is by publisher Taragwon. Okay. I haven't seen that one. But then again, I'm not in the market for Hanja books that are written in English. The ones I have in Korean are amazing. I don't need one in English for where I am right now. But though now I'm sure there are a lot more resources than there were a few years ago. Do you have any lessons on a grammar form that means, for example, by October? Yeah, that would just be 까지. 까지 is by, or literally it means up to, or up until. So it's all the way up until, and it can also be used for directions, like I'm going up to as far as this part. But most often you'll see it used for time. So if you wanted to say by October, October is the 10th month of the year. So 10월까지. So by October. Hey, Evolving Brain. Thanks, Evolving Brain, for the $5 donation. Your opinion on jalapeno peppers. Oh, poppers. Jalapeno peppers. I'm like, that's a really random question. I love them. Jalapeno poppers. The only place I know of that has jalapeno poppers is like TGI Fridays. And I don't go there. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. But I prefer just grilled jalapenos, if I can pick. Like if someone says, here's a jalapeno, how do you want it prepared? You know, raw, grilled, deep fried. I'm going to pick grilled. And I'll tell you why. When I want a jalapeno, I want it for the heat. I want that flavor and the heat. And I feel like when you have it raw, it's like too strong and too cold, and the texture is like too crunchy. It's like you're eating an overly spicy bell pepper. I don't know. I just don't like that. But when you get it grilled, like the flavor just gets more balanced throughout the whole thing. Like the whole thing gets equally spicy instead of like one part is burning and one part's nothing. And then when you have it in a popper, I feel like you get a little bit of the heat, but it's really diluted by the sauce and by the breading on the outside. They're good. I would never turn it down, but I prefer just grilled jalapenos. I don't know what's the deal with this question. And I guess of when I first donated to your channel. What do you mean by that? Okay. And a guess. Okay, and a guess. Now it makes sense. When you first donated to my channel, a guess. I remember your name from years ago, so I'm going to guess 2018 or 2019. I'm going to guess 2018. Oh, did anyone notice? So last week, I predicted the Super Bowl results. One person noticed in my Discord. I was only 1 point off. I predicted that they would win by 4 points, and they won by 3 points. Although I think I did say at first 3, and then I changed it to 4. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've got a talent for predicting games that I never watch and don't know anything about. Because if I definitely knew the sport, I would have maybe predicted the opposite team or a different number. Angel's World, are you asking an English question? I did notice. I told my family you were the only one to get it right. My odds are on you now. Yeah, I totally had no idea. I didn't even know what the teams were. And when I checked at halftime, the results were opposite. They were losing by like 10 points or something crazy like that. Is what all I remember. And I was thinking, oh, I guess I got it wrong. Oh, well. But then they turned it around and they won by 3 points. If you give me an example, Angel's Word, I can help you. But from English, I'm not sure what it is you're trying to say exactly. The number of your subscribers is going higher. Yeah, I'm at 555,000. I was at 555,555, I think just yesterday. I didn't get a screenshot of it, but I did pass that, all fives, which is pretty cool. Hopefully I'll get some more because this week I'm going to be uploading the video on BTS Jin. So I'm hoping that those videos will do well. Like I said, if they do really well, like lots more views, well, then we'll get sequels to them. Maybe I can do a sequel to all the members, but I'm not making any promises because those videos took a whole month to do, and I'm not really ready to put aside a whole month again to make more videos about one specific topic. But we'll see. Layla asks, how can we differentiate formal and informal speech? Is there an easy way to hear if you don't understand? Yeah. When you're saying formal, now you're saying formal, you're not saying polite, you're saying formal. Formal is a specific type of speech in Korean. That's going to be the 니다 form. It's going to end in 입니다, 합니다, 하십니다, 합니까? That's the formal form. Now, there are some other grammar forms that are considered formal as well, but that's going to be the main one. If you hear someone using 입니다, 합니다, 했습니다 a lot, doesn't have to be every sentence, but I'll say half of their sentences. That is formal. And if you don't hear them using that, they're not using formal speech because, again, formal is a specific type of speech. Now, if you'd asked polite and casual, this would be a different answer, but for formal, it's going to end in 니다 most of the time. So like 했습니다, 하시겠습니까? That sort of thing. All repeating numbers mean, no, it just means I had that number of subscribers. Everyone with more than that had that number at a certain point. Any recommendations for using advanced grammar? Can you give me an example, Binta? I could probably help you out with that. 안녕하세요. Yes, you did spell that right. Ghostly Ali. You don't need spaces in it, but that's the correct spelling. Is there a video where you speak Korean? Tons of them. I recommend checking out my Glass with Billy series if you want to hear me speak Korean. A lot of people ask me, Billy, you should make a video where you're just speaking Korean. But don't watch the videos where I'm speaking Korean because those have the least number of views. I guess people just don't want to hear me speaking Korean. I'll upload videos where it's just me and a Korean friend speaking all in Korean. And those ones don't get very many views usually. But you can also hear me speaking Korean in all of my interview videos, although I'm not speaking that much. I try to highlight the person I'm interviewing usually, but you can hear me speak Korean in those as well. But yeah, check out the Glass with Billy series and any video that has a Korean person in the thumbnail, except with the exception of Hyunwoo from Talk to Me in Korean. With the exception of him, all of the other ones I'm speaking in Korean. Girl named Celine says difference between 저도 and 저도요. First of all, 저도 and 저도 are the same word. 도 is just a version of 애교, so it's like cutesy style speech. And so that has the same meaning. And then the 요 is just for more polite speech. You wouldn't just say 저도. You say 저도요, because 저도 by itself is an incomplete sentence. Like you're being polite by saying 저, which is a more polite version of 나, but then you would not finish the end of your sentence. It makes it incomplete. So you would say 저도요 or 저도 and finish the sentence. So if you're asking the difference, it's just 저도요 would be more correct. But 저도 is unrelated. That's just the more cutesy way of saying 저도. Angel's World, you would have to tell me the Korean that you're referring to, though, because there isn't an official way to translate pretty much anything in Korean. You can translate it however you'd want. And there are lots of phrases that they might translate the same in English. Like you could translate 정말, 진짜, 진짜요, 그래, 그래요. Like tons of different ways to say 과연 그럴까? Like all of these different ways and just translate them as really, 진심. All of these things can translate as really in English, but we'd have to know what the original Korean word is. Will you ever study Japanese? Fisho, I have. The grammar are very similar. Nope. That is a common misconception that Japanese and Korean share similar grammar. They do not. They have a lot of surface level similarities, though, which is what people who study Japanese and only learn a little bit of Korean, tiny bit of Korean, will think that, or vice versa. If you study a lot of Korean and you study a tiny bit of Japanese, you'll also think the same. But beyond surface level similarities and a similar word order, which many languages share the same type of word order, but besides that, though, no, there aren't very many similarities. But if you know one or the other, it will definitely help, because you get that 60% of vocabulary from both languages that comes straight from Chinese, and the majority of them, not all, but the majority of them will have the same meaning. So you automatically will have more vocabulary. And even if the particles don't work the same, they kind of work the same. So that will help you to understand. You can think, oh, it's kind of like this. And that can help. Even if it's not the same, it's close enough that it can help you to get started with that. So that's really helpful. But you wouldn't want to compare them and say, oh, this is this. That would be a bad thing to do. All right, I think that's enough for today. Thank you everyone for coming. Hopefully this was useful. And I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. Oh, and remember there's no live stream next Sunday, but I'll see you the next time. Okay, bye.